Australia. Oh, he's hit this one, Miles. Great shot. Oh, it's a biggie. Straight over the top.
Kohli drives through the covers. It's into the fence like a tracer bullet.
Good evening, all. Welcoming you all for yet another episode of just another cricket podcast. With me is, as usual, Debankur and Shaheen Shah. So, straight to the topic, guys, on the podcast here on the Bazball Theory. I am really excited to know about what are your opinion on the Bazball Theory, especially after the 3-day drubbing that England got against South Africa.
Okay, Devanku, you want to go first?
Yeah, why not? Good topic, Gopal. Yeah, we discussed about baseball very shortly in the last podcast also. So I know you guys are there to discuss. We all want to bash up this theory. It's everybody calls it to be a new topic. But I want to step back a little. Baseball, for me, is not it's a new terminology, of course, because of McCullum and mixing it with baseball and everything. But this attitude or this approach towards Test cricket had been brought in by the Aussies of the 1990s and 2000s. So if you notice, this is the same approach. Go out on the field, whether it's swinging, whether it's turning, try hit the ball from the first ball itself, like Matthew Hayden and Justin Langer used to do. And they used to score at a fair clip. Aussies at that point in time used to score at 3.84 runs per over a period of a day or a day and a half. And that is where they used to close the match down for themselves. So that's what, for me, baseball theory or baseball approach is for England, so to say, is to go for the ball from, ball one itself. Don't be scared. Express yourself on the field. Don't be scared of getting out. Whoever is there next to you can actually handle the game better. And what England has done is they've evolved with so many of these, batsmen, bowlers who could bat as well. Right? So they bat down deep. 9, number 10, they are batting. Mark Wood comes up, scores a half century. He has not even scored a half century internationally. But he can throw the bat. Stuart Broad, we know what he can do with the bat. So their tactic is to actually go out, take the opposition, scare them, scare tactics, hit them out of the park. New Zealand got scared, they couldn't come back. India was shattered in the second innings approach. Our batting actually faltered. I would, say our second innings batting faltered. But South Africa stuck to their guns. If you've watched the match, if you've seen their approach, these guys were taking it very seriously. Their bowlers stuck to that approach. So baseball to me is not a very new terminology, at least. England might be sugarcoating it, trying to bring it in the new era, trying to, modernize Test cricket so much to say so that people fall in love with it again. Although Test cricket has got a lot of following. But Aussies, for my mind, and a very typical Indian gentleman who used to play Test cricket, and my favorite cricketer, of course, Virender Sehwag. These guys are the one who brought this into the fore. They actually took, from ball one itself. But our cushion was the Dravids, the Sachin Tendulkars, the Saurav Ganglis coming up. For England team right now, I don't see there's a cushion. They want to stop at nothing. They want to just hit the ball out of the park. So baseball for me is more batting centric and trying to chase down a target, whichever is set for the fourth innings. So I don't know. How long would this sustain, if they can go on winning test matches with this or not? So that is something that we'll have to see in the future, maybe discuss later. So Shantan, what are your thoughts?
Pretty much similar, actually, Devankur. I'll just probably. I was about to disagree a small part to what you said, but I think end of your conclusion, at the conclusion, you actually mentioned that as well. So, baseball is not only about hitting from ball one, but baseball is also the concept that irrespective of whatever fourth innings total it is, we'll go ahead and chase it. Because typically, the moment it's 250, 300 plus, we've seen. The team batting last would take a defensive approach because they'll feel that that's pretty difficult to chase. You look at the stats across all the grounds, they'll say that the highest runs scored in the fourth innings are all between 200 to 250 max in the Test cricket history, right? So I think that is one thing. This approach is definitely welcome, okay? And we have too little data right now because it's been only 4 or 5, 6 matches so far. But we have started seeing the impact of it. I was just looking through some numbers today. So the last 5 matches that England have played with this approach, obviously they lost the last match against South Africa. But the other 4, they chased 299, 296, 279 and 378 in the last innings of a test match. I mean, Devankur, I know you mentioned about our faltering batting. True, but 378 is still a lot of runs in the fourth innings. Now, if you look at some of the batting averages and numbers, I got the numbers for the England players as well. This year, between 8 to 9, 10 test matches, Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root are the only two batsmen who are scoring above an average of 50. So Root at 55, Bairstow at 67, and Bairstow is hitting at 76, Root at 61. That's the strike rate. Everyone else, the next best is Ben Stokes at 35 average, and then you have everyone in the 31s and 20s. Okay. So while it's a welcome approach, the question is, do the England batting have that quality for everyone to do it? It looks great when Bairstow comes out of the dressing room hitting the ball, scoring 100. But of course, he's not going to do it every time, right? You will lose. And I was listening to McCallum's theory that okay, we'll not, we don't become a bad team overnight. We have won four, we've lost one. Fair point. But, what about your team against good quality fast bowling or spin, right? You go to Australia, bouncy tracks, you lost, I think 3-1 or 3-0 or 4-0 last Ashes. You're coming to India on spinning tracks. Will you be hold on to it? Because there will be pressure from the cricketing pundits all over the world, their own media, right? Their own media is pretty brutal and harsh, straight, right? So again, I think it's a welcome thing. We'll see how it is because see, the thing is, and I don't have data around this, but it's interesting to see how many test matches in the last 5 years have gone beyond day 4. Or let's say, what is the average time that it took to get a test match over? I think any which ways, most of the test matches get over between 3.5, 4 days, right? This, in fact, you take away the rain and the remaining of day 3. It's basically a 2-day test match that just got over between South Africa and England, right? And just supporting Devankur's point on, while it's a new term and every team wants to, play in that fashion. I gave you the strike rate of Bairstow, which was 76, and Root at 61, and then Ben Stokes 69, Zach Crawley 56. Look at some of the strike rates of some of the older players, and I've just picked mostly Indian players. Sunil Gavaskar, 10,000 plus test runs, striked at 66. Okay. Of course, Virender Sehwag at 82, Vengsakar at 60, Azhar at 63, Gundappa Bishwanath at 76, Amarnath at 86, and Kapil Dev at 95. So,
this is in England, right? You're talking about strike rates in England?
This is their career strike rate.
Career strike rates.
So that's pretty amazing. And I was just looking, and I'm sure, the others, would have done the same, if you go to the South Africans and the Australians and all. So yes, I think it's an entirely new approach to see how you can get more results out of it, how you can still not go for draws the moment the fourth innings totals are high. And I'll just end by saying this, that it has certainly inspired other teams, because right after this, when Bazball was hugely discussed and all, you see Pakistan scored and chased a fourth innings total of, I think, close to 400 runs against Sri Lanka in a spinning track, right? So slowly the teams will start believing that. It's all about getting into that belief. You see how white ball cricket have revolutionized. So again, interesting to see how the others team approach it and how successful this is. But as cricket will evolve, these things will come every other year or so.
So just to add to this point, basically, even before Bazball has been this term has come into place, very interestingly, Ravi Shastri, when he was coaching Team India has also done many, thanks to Rishabh Pant's innings and everything, we've chased down many good totals also in Australia. And even in very recently, before that, Sachin Tendulkar, Yuvraj Singh playing in India, chasing against England, scoring 350 plus on a day 5 track. So that was so that was very fresh in a memory. Yeah. But what Ravi Shastri specifically mentioned as the approach is, first innings में हमें 250 से 300 रन बनाना है कैसे भी करके. Pitch, I am taking pitch out of the equation completely. Whatever the pitch is, India bats first, has to score 250 से 300 runs. And he had utmost confidence. I'm just talking about Indian cricket's approach. He had utmost confidence in the likes of Bumrahs and Shamis कि हम तो 20 wicket लेके ही छोड़ेंगे. The 20 wickets is ours. So score 300, 320, restrict them to at least 280, have a lead of 40-50, again score around 200, and then put pressure and get them out within the target that's required. And we were successful in doing it at a very consistent rate. We were doing that until unless that South Africa series happened and we lost those two test matches. Even WTC finals also, the target was not that huge, but I had faith in our bowling. Ashwin was bowling well. He had so many lefties to bowl against. But then again, the bowling somehow falters in the matches that is required. So for me, Bazball comes from that technology or from that thought process that whatever our first inning score is, let's make it irrelevant. If we score less, let's try and restrict the the opponent's first inning score to as minimum a target as possible, or maybe lesser than ours. Then put some application on a third innings or maybe the fourth innings if you are going out to bat, and whatever target is in front of us, let's chase it down. So everybody is going to take this approach going forward. Like Pakistan has done it. They faltered in the next test match, although because it was a ranked turner. And Sri Lanka with anybody, I mean, सड़क से भी उठा के कोई spinner डाल दे match में खेलने के लिए, that guy will take a 6 for. And Pakistan faltered. But the previous match that Pakistan chased down, they were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. That new guy who opened the innings, they were brilliant.
And Debankur, and that was not a Bazball theory. They had enough time to chase that score, and it was done. It was not a 4 run rate test match that innings. If you look at it, they had the what do I say? They had the
time to score that one.
Correct. They were very clear about their approach, and they had the technique to support them. They were playing for the technique. They know the track is going to spin it out, and then they were playing to the spinning track. So that was not a Bazball approach. But Shandar and Debankur, I would probably slightly understand a bit more on this Bazball piece. Is that, of course, England managed to win those 4-5 test matches chasing 300 plus runs or 200 plus runs, but all those approaches were on the fourth innings, which probably gives a question mark. Is in England the fourth innings pitch generally doesn't do that much of a damage than you see in other countries, like in India. In India, the fourth innings pitch, it's going to be a rank turner. In Sri Lanka, it's going to be a rank turner. But in other countries, or for that matter, in England, where these chases have happened, the pitch generally is slightly good for batting, unless and until it is not as bad as the first innings where you have sea movement, swing movement, everything to happen. So in that context, probably in this test match, England would have been a bit more cautious with the South African paces, or still you guys feel that the Bazball approach was the right approach?
Yeah, I think it's actually an excellent point. We never thought of it because while I was watching the matches, I did hear the commentators say that the pitches in England actually gets better, right? In the it's probably the best to bat on day 3 and day 4, or maybe end of day 2, right? So it's actually a key point, and that's why it's an approach, right? And I keep saying this. You cannot just have an approach. You need to have that skill set to back that up as well, right? And it may not be every team's approach. They might call it differently, like Debankur explained how India will approach this. But certainly with people scoring runs in the fourth innings, right? The teams chasing actually winning, it will mean that the teams who are setting the targets will not be complacent the moment it hits 200, 250 runs anymore. They'll not be complacent even if this, hit a 400 runs. And a lot more result-oriented matches is what we will see, right? It's going to be more exciting, and then people, all of it is, basically to keep cricket alive. Honestly, we talk about 5 days, but I'll be extremely bored to see a 550, 600 runs innings these days. I would rather love a good competition between bat and ball, and then
Absolutely.
have it get the overs, things done between 250, 300 runs, and that's it, right?
Yeah,
I would be very bored to see a 200 runs scored by a batter, and I think most of us will be. We're not used to it anymore, right? Our habits have changed.
Unless it's a swashbuckling 200 from some of the batters, you really score 100 ball 200 or a 150 ball 200. Just think of the new generation, right? We are still from that era where we have seen
both the sides. We have seen slow innings. We have seen that massive 900 something innings by Sri Lanka with 300 scored by Jayasuriya and 200 by Mahanama. I saw that. I mean, in Doordarshan, I was coming from school to just switch on the TV to see कि वो wicket 3 से 4 हुआ है कि नहीं. वो 2 दिन तक batting करता था, right? So yeah, but I think
Fun point. Kulkarni got a wicket of his first ball in Test match
ball.
and then he didn't.
Yeah.
And then he didn't get a wicket again.
And
Same
I
match.
think it was Mahela Jayawardene's debut match. He scored 100 as well.
60,
but never
66.
never
66.
66 था.
Yes.
ये जो भी था,
Yes,
मतलब
everybody scored.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah, but
340,
but
Jayasuriya, Mahanama 225, Ravinder Disla 120, Ranatunga 86, Jayawardene 66.
yes,
Of course,
yeah, 1000 run बना
We
दिया
also
एक
scored
innings.
500 plus. We also scored 500 plus.
We
We
scored
also scored
537.
500 plus.
We scored 537. We scored 537. And unfortunately, Azharuddin wanted to declare, thinking something will come out of the pitch.
Yeah.
So those were the pitches on those days, right?
So I think again, basically, to your point, Gopal, we'll see. Again, honestly, let's see how
We'll have to figure it out,
courageous these guys are. They're talking about, moving to a different opener and give a respite to Zach Crawley and then others. So if you don't succeed, there will be criticism. You will buckle down. But I have hopes because England has actually revolutionized the white ball cricket, the way their approach is and all.
True.
So if they can come up with strong players and they have to score in the first innings. They've faltered too many times in the first innings to give them to chase so many in the last innings. And but I'll just end this by saying that Dean Elgar was asked, how are you going to handle the fourth innings of Bazball by England? And he said, don't worry, there'll be no fourth innings. And actually there was no fourth innings, right? So it was only a match won in the third innings of the match itself. So it was fun.
And also one thing most important nowadays is the toss. See, you lose the toss, you're losing the match according to me. I mean, whosoever is winning the toss is actually going ahead to win whatever match it is, T20, ODI, Test matches. And another surprising thing is England choosing McCullum as their red ball coach rather than the white ball coach, with McCullum's his histrionics, his history with the game.
Because they're not approaching Test match like a Test match, na?
Yes, exactly.
They're thinking like a white ball.
Right.
That is the reason.
So that is how the Test match is also going to get evolved, right? You'll see many more T20 players, established T20 players playing Test match cricket. You have Stokes, best of England. You have Pant for us. You have KL Rahul for us. So Bazball Zindabad. It is going to stay. Naam change kar do. Make it much more like fourth innings teams chasing down fourth innings totals.
I like Bazball. Yeah, if you can have Dill Scoop, whereas people played Scoop before as well, why not Bazball?
I feel a little bad because this was like Hayden ko de do yaar, ya Sehwag ke liye naam pe kar do, but it was only one person playing that game, or is the entire 12 people playing the same type of game? That's the difference.
And match after match, irrespective of what the situation.
In continuation to the same topic, Devankur and Shaheen, so a quick review from you guys, or a quick feedback from you guys on the England RSA, the first test conclusion. So what are your thoughts? I thought South Africa bowled pretty well. Of course, they're hitting England to a below par score in both the innings. They had their opportunities to score much bigger runs, but England came out had made a minor collapse in between. But again, the South African middle order also, or rather the lower middle order also scored some good runs, giving them some total to fight out. So a quick review from you guys. How was it? What's your opinion on that?
See, I think the bowling attack of South Africa in this pitch is relentless. You have Rabada and then NGD, and then you have Nokia and Mark Jansen. So all four of them can pick wickets. And then, not to mention you have Maharaj as well. He actually picked a couple of crucial wickets in the second innings right at the beginning. So too good a bowling attack. I would actually credit along with that a lot to the first innings total that they have set. Plus 300 runs. Their lower middle order or the tailenders actually contributed more than 100 runs. 48 by Jansen, 41 by Maharaj, and then I think Nokia also scored 28. So that's around 120, 110, 20 runs. that lead could have been a 30-40 runs lead, and the approach and the confidence would have been different, correct? So they were not great at getting the lower order batsmen out quickly. Uh, South Africa is building up their team again. Okay, if you look at their top order, look at the number of new players in I think Arvi, who's the opener now, and Peterson, who looked very composed again against India as well. They have taken out I think the other guy who was captaining them. I keep forgetting his name. Right,
Babuma.
Temba
Bahuma. Temba Bahuma. They've taken him out. Peacock is not in the team anymore. I'm glad to see Vander Dussen, which I think is a pretty resilient finisher of the game in
And
white balls
Markram.
at least.
And Markram
And
is
Markram, right? So
yes.
I think you'll see that these are people who have not played a lot, but they're trying to build up that. But they will be backed up with some very strong bowling. So England clearly, it was a pitch. They depend a lot on Bairstow after the last four matches, right?
Exactly.
Stokes is a bit on and off. He has not scored a lot. He's shown great glimpses, but otherwise not. And then really, I mean, England and their struggle with openers. My client is
But
actually
one point, Shantan.
keep talking about, yeah.
Yeah, just to add to one of this point. What about Root's failure? Surprising failure in both innings.
I know, see, I mean, that guy scored for the last 3 years when the entire team was not scoring, right? So he will get into that phase. But you look at the mood of his dismissal. Right outside the off stump, the ball swinging a little bit. When Virat gets out, so much is talked in the media. You look at the number of times he got out the same way against India in the one days, in the test matches over here as well, and not a lot. But I think that channel or the corridor is always an uncertain zone for all the batters. So I think that's something that after scoring so much runs, he needs to be a little careful. But yeah, I think England clearly has to get their batting order sorted, or not the order, but the who will come play, because the likes of Crawley and others have got a lot of chance, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Great. Moving on from the England RSA series to our Asia Cup. The qualifying stages have already begun, and there's some exciting matches that happened yesterday between Singapore and Hong Kong. And I'll straight jump to the news that was flashed yesterday. Shaheen Shah Afridi's injury. So what's up, Dibankur and Shantan? The excitement on Afridi versus Rohit Sharma, Afridi versus Rahul. We spoke about it in our first episode, and
All the episodes, both the episodes.
Yeah, and
How much time do we have left, Gopal? Sorry, because this is a tempting topic to talk about, but we'll have to restrict our thoughts.
Take your time. 5 minutes. We can have it for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe?
5 minutes.
Yeah,
5
sure.
minutes.
Yeah, so it is a very
Timer
disappointing to
नहीं,
actually.
timer দেখা যাচ্ছে না.
No worries, no worries.
Timer লাগাসনি? Okay,
It's okay.
no worries. Let's start.
It's a very disappointing news. We as cricket fans majorly would have loved to watch Shaheen Shah Afridi back in action again against the Indian team. And I had high hopes of Rohit Sharma playing against him, because I was looking forward to watching this contest between these two both. So very, very disappointed that Shaheen Shah Afridi is not in the match. Maybe even Bumrah. I mean, it is being spoken that Bumrah might also miss the Asia Cup. So let's see, let's watch.
No,
But
he
yeah,
is.
very, very.
Bumrah is missing the
disappointing.
Asia Cup.
Bumrah is
Has
already
it been
missing.
announced?
Yeah,
Announced?
Bumrah is
Yeah,
already-
long time. He's not in the squad.
Yeah.
The first
Not even in the
episode that
squad.
we did,
Oh yes, yes.
he was not in the
yes,
squad.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Bumrah is-
very
I-
disappointing.
I-
Both the
No, go ahead. Sorry, finish your thought.
One of the duels would have been Shaheen Shah Afridi versus our touted Indian batting. I'll definitely miss watching that. So yeah, disappointing.
And in fact, when Bumrah's news came in, I was a little disappointed. But I'll tell you, I'm more disappointed with Shaheen's news. And I spoke to a lot of friends who follows cricket and all. Everyone, including we spoke yesterday, Devankur and others, that we all share the same emotion, that we are disappointed, because that would have been a lip smacking contest between Rohit and the swinging ball of Shaheen. Come what may be the result, but this definitely has made Pakistan a little less strong in this contention for the Asia Cup. We'll have some more podcast on this as we approach next Sunday. By the way, next week this time we're all not talking to each other. We are glued to our TV sets, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's disappointing, and somewhere I feel it's the board who needs to be blamed, right? We always heard that story of the hen or the duck laying golden eggs. You've not managed him well. You've given him flat, placid wickets to play test matches. You've taken him to every small country for every format. Right now I'm actually looking into my computer and watching the Netherlands versus Pakistan. It's 80 needed of 91 with 5 wickets left. Their top players play in every format in every game against every opposition. Especially the bowlers. They have to give some respite. And Shaheen is key. He's superb, actually. But that guy, I feel bad for him that he's been pretty much sacrificed. Right now, so the injury to him is a knee ligament tear, and it takes between 4 to 6 weeks at least to get the injury healed, and then you have the rehabilitation, and then you need some match practice to get. So, if you ask me, I think he's missing the World Cup as well.
So I was actually expecting him to be back for the World Cup match against India.
The World Cup starts in 2 months. The World Cup starts in 2 months, and
Correct.
it was announced yesterday or day before that he's out for 6 weeks. So even if he, comes out after 2, he will not be. You need some, these things, again and again, these injuries come back, right? So you have to give enough rest and all, because they'll again think of the bigger World Cup next year. So I don't think they're going to risk.
Okay, so we come to the last of our topic today, Shantan and Dibankur, and that's back to our India-Zimbabwe series that just got recently concluded with India winning the series. But again, your thoughts, your thoughts on Rahul's captaincy, winning the toss, fielding first. One bit surprise was again probably that is again a hint for our Asia Cup squad is I don't think Deepak Chahar is again a fully fit. I believe that, and that's the reason that he got dropped yesterday, and Shardul was playing instead Chahar. So which means I think he needs some more time for him to be fit fully, which means he's going to miss the Asia Cup. But otherwise, it was. I mean, your views on the match and the series win.
Yeah,
Doesn't
good.
matter. Doesn't matter. We won this match because I was looking ahead for win the toss and bat first. At least test your team out, which you guys didn't do. Unfortunately, they're going to do the same thing tomorrow because India is going to lose the toss. Zimbabwe is going to win the toss and they'll put India to bat. Rituraj is going to open the match. He's going to get out for a 3-ball duck, and then that guy's future is gone for at least next
record everything that Devanku said. Okay, so you almost made 5 predictions for tomorrow's match.
So unfortunate. I think Rahul and the think tank had a very good opportunity of testing the batting lineup out, but they didn't. They won the series. That's I think much more. Either they wanted a cup on their mantle. That's what they've gotten. Congratulations to the team. But in terms of the future, in terms of what it holds for the cricketers' future, zero. According to me. So again, a disappointing thing. Let's see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I think I pretty much again share the same emotions that Devankur mentioned about this. There is nothing much to take away from the series. Honestly, I've started looking at a different way these series that these countries like Zimbabwe and the other upcoming nations. Zimbabwe is not an upcoming, but they still need a lot of help. Countries like India and Pakistan should tour them, should have their A teams sent over there so that these teams can come up, right? You will only have a future of cricket when you have more strong players coming, in. And I always said that we need a very strong Pakistan team like they used to be, because if it is only India, England, Australia, or a bit of New Zealand, trust me, cricket will not be fun. You need a game is fun when you have good, strong 30 teams across the world playing, and then you win it, right? It's never fun to be the first boy of the class in a room of 6 people. It's fun when you are the first boy with 60 people. So I think that's the only thing that I look up to. Personally, for India's perspective, yes, they've wasted 48 overs, 30 overs in the first match, 18 overs in the next match, right? So, who knows who bats tomorrow. If Rahul is someone who is going to be playing in the first 11 in Asia Cup, he needs to bat. He needs to bat and spend some time, even if there are whatever strike rate is. So that's the only thing. I don't think they'll depend a lot on Deepak Chahar. It may be on any other Nigel or whatever it is. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's a dead rubber. Hopefully, they give some of these new boys like Shabazz and yeah, Rituraj is mentioned, and whoever has not played a game, Tripathi, right?
Rahul Tripathi.
He gets a game as well. They all feel, and then they wear the blue Indian color. That's the only thing to see. I've actually not seen a single ball live of the second match, and I've only watched the highlights.
Yeah,
Good to see Samson get some runs,
exactly. Yeah.
but yeah, that's about it.
Great. So, look, we'll have to look forward for tomorrow's match and see whether Devankur's predictions have all been ticked on the right box or not. But yeah, it's been an exciting session as usual, guys, with you having on this podcast, and probably we'll be joining for the yet another podcast with the discussion on the Asia Cup squads for the rest of the teams. We'll have to discuss about Sri Lanka's opportunities, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and then your any which have Bangladesh, and then the two qualifying teams who are going to join the main squad.
The next week is expected to be busy, guys. I think with Asia Cup is going to keep us busy, and then that's what we wanted to do as well and bring in all. So, thank you, Gopal. Thank you, Devankur, and thanks to all who have watched a bit of us. Please keep sharing your feedback. We are getting some of the feedbacks offline as well from friends and known people who have been watching it. Let us know what can be changed. What are the topics you want to see? Anything else that we are missing out, any other change in the way the setup that we have put in. But again, as I say, it's very basic at the moment. But thanks for all your support. Hope you like and you subscribe to just another cricket podcast. And till then, we'll see you again. It's goodbye from Shantan, Gopal, and Devankur. Good night.
Bye.